Hello friends and welcome to another video on Tutorials Point with Ms.Richa. Well, today under this module on teaching skills for educators, we will be talking about motivating students to learn. Well, before we get on to this particular module, I'd like to tell you that just as a parent motivates their child whenever they fall to get up again and start walking, in the same way, a teacher needs to motivate the student whenever they fail or whenever they fall. It is important behavior of a teacher to motivate your students. In case you are not motivating your students, somewhere you are not doing justice to your job or your career as a teacher. So let's look at what is there for us in this module. On the agenda today, we will discuss motivation and what it is, 10 ways to motivate your students to learn better, behavior and goals as motivation sources. What are the learning outcomes? Behavior as a source of motivation, goals that contribute to achievement, and enhancing your students' learning by sharing different tips with you. So friends, what exactly is motivation? As a teacher, if you are motivating your students to do things for themselves rather than spoon feeding them, that is what is motivation. So as a teacher, it's important that you give different roles and responsibilities to your students so that they are all charged up and understanding that they have to do things for themselves. So one way to encourage students and teach them responsibility is to get them involved in the classroom. Make them participate in fun activities by giving each student a job to do in the class. You can ask some students to erase the blackboard, some students to hand out the materials or resources to other students. Some students can be asked to monitor the class in your absence. All these small things and activities really motivate a student to learn better. Well, now we're going to look at 10 ways to motivate your students to learn. Let's look at these 10 ways and techniques. The first one is believe in them. As a teacher, you need to believe in your students, and that is where their self-esteem will also really touch the sky if you believe in them. That will make them believe in themselves. Second is be extremely encouraging to them. Do not worry if they fail at something, or do not worry if they don't do something in a better manner. Just keep encouraging them, telling them that they can do much better than that. Thirdly, make sure your students are the ones who are working. It should not be the teacher who's working more. It should be that the students are working more so that they can get motivated. Fourth is use memory work and recitation, which will help them to learn better and to be more motivated. Fifth is make learning fun. Well, students do not like listening to boring lectures by the teachers. You wouldn't like it if a teacher was giving you a boring lecture, right? So make learning fun for these students by adding your own humor and jokes to the session. Sixth is be wise with your homework, which means that do not give them too much of homework to do or do not burden them with a lot of work at home to do. Try to keep it short and sweet so that the students also have fun time at home playing with their friends. Seventh is have a one-on-one conversation. If you feel a student is demotivated, call them and have a counseling session with them by having a one-to-one with them. Eighth is get the parents involved. If you feel that any student is suffering from low self-esteem and is not responding to motivation from you, please do get the parents involved. If the parents are involved, the teachers are also motivated, the students are motivated, and the parents are also motivated. Ninth is help your students to be more organized. If you feel some students are not organized in their materials, their books, their behavior, try to get them more organized. Lastly, consider the whole brain teaching. Well, there are some students who are left brain, who are more logical and factual. There are some students who are more right brain, which means that they're more emotional and creative. Well, as a teacher, you should use both the aspects, means let them use their whole brain in order to teach them better. Friends, let's look at what is exactly these types of motivation. Well, according to research, there are two types of motivation, intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Well, intrinsic motivation is when a person is motivated from within. They do not need an outside force to motivate them, be it from a teacher, a parent, a counselor, etc. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation is when they are dependent on people outside to motivate them and to help them get motivated. So, intrinsic motivation includes fascination with the subject, a sense of its own relevance to the life and the world, a sense of accomplishment in mastering it, and a sense of calling to it. When a student really loves a subject, they are so involved into it, and they do not need somebody else to tell them, like a teacher or a parent, to tell them to study that subject, because they love studying that subject and they're intrinsically motivated to do so. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation includes parental expectations, expectations of other trusted role models, earning potential of a course of study, and grades. If a student doesn't like maths, for example, and he is not motivated to study maths, he knows that he has to study because his parents want him to get better grades or his teacher wants them to get better grades. However, the lack of motivation from within is there, and hence he looks for people to motivate him from external. Even the behavior pattern is different for intrinsic and extrinsic. Let's look at that. Intrinsic motivation can be long-lasting and self-sustaining. You do not need a person to have intrinsic motivation for a shorter period. It can be long-lasting. Such efforts often focus on the subject rather than on rewards or punishment. The people who are intrinsically motivated to study a particular subject will wholeheartedly involve themselves into that subject. They're not worried about rewards, they're not worried about appreciation or punishment. They will do it because they want to do it. On the other hand, the extrinsic motivation readily produce behavior changes and typically involve relatively little effort or preparation, as well as efforts at applying extrinsic motivation often do not require extensive knowledge of an individual student, and hence for an extrinsic motivation they are more and more dependent on other people and their behavior, which will help them to study that particular subject. Now friends, let's look at certain learning outcomes because of these motivation levels. Well, there are different goals which we are going to discuss now. The first one is be confident, and it is very important as a teacher and a student to be confident about yourself. So look at how far you have come and praise yourself for the goals that you have accomplished. Look at yourself how much you have achieved and be confident about it. Secondly, find a mentor, somebody who can help you. It can be a teacher, it can be a counselor, it can be anybody or even a parent. So whether it's a professor, a friend or a co-worker, find someone who accomplishments in your field to inspire you. Look up to somebody, a role model probably, who will help you get to where you are. Third is take a break. Please do not keep working or studying for a long period of time. Take a break for yourself. So go for a walk outside or even meditate for a few minutes. After you relax your mind, you can get back to the study that you were doing. However, during exams time, students definitely forget to take a break because they are so much involved into the studying, last minute of studying before the examination. However, it's important to take a break. Fourth is plan ahead. Means make a routine for yourself, but also don't be afraid to break from the routine if it's stifling your ability. And also it's important to understand that you need to have a to-do list to do or plan your modules and your lessons according to what you can do. However, don't be so much involved in the routine. Try and break free from the routine at times also. Fifth one is shut down on discouraging thoughts. Try to remain negative, I would rather say try to be as positive as you can. Stay away from negative thoughts. Even if they're coming into your mind, just shoo them away and concentrate only on positive thoughts which will help you to study better. Sixth is keep the end goal in mind. Well, visualize your success, whether it's walking across the stage or even a graduation. Try to have the end result in your mind. Try to visualize what it is that you're working for or what it is that you're learning for. If it is to get better grades, visualize yourself getting those grades. Well, goals that contribute to achievement, it's very important as a student to have your goals in mind. If you do not have your goals in mind, somewhere achievement is going to be a little far-fetched. Hence, as a student, it's important to know what exactly are you learning or studying that particular thing for. Well, it's important to enhance your students' learning, and how you can do that as a teacher, it's very important to understand this particular part of the module. So you can enhance your students' learning by certain other things like enhance your students' self-belief, make them believe in themselves, enable students to work autonomously, meaning do not spoon feed them, try to make them independent by being away from them, giving them a task to do and then move away and let them do it themselves. Teaching and teachers are central to engagement, and hence it's important to let them do that. Active collaboration as well as fosters learning relationships. So make your students really active, make them interact with each other and do things in an activity way, or rather a discussion way. Experiences for students that are challenging. Do not make it very easy for your students. Give them tasks and challenging things which will help them to motivate themselves. Institutional cultures are welcoming to the students and hence have different kind of activities around that. Invest in a variety of support services like counseling, giving feedbacks, etc. Adapt to changing student expectation, because a lot of times students have different expectation. So as a teacher, you need to be very adaptable. Enable students to become active citizens to the society. Develop the social and cultural capital. I think it's very essential as a teacher to help them in the overall development of their personality. Well, friends, that brings us to the end of this particular module on motivating students to learn. As a teacher, I'm sure you have understood how important it is to make sure that you are motivated as well as you're motivating your students to learn in a better manner. I hope you have enjoyed listening to this particular module. Keep watching, more videos coming your way. Thank you for listening to us.
Tutorialspoint.com. Simply easy learning.